So this is why you have been running out of gas faster, okay? As of 24 hours ago, Congress officially passed a law, officially being the key word, stating that they are now going to allow E15 to be added to fuel and gasoline year-round. Here's what that actually means in English, okay? E15 is ethanol, okay? It is something that they add into fuel to reduce the amount of fuel that you need to use, okay? Now, typically you've seen it before. At a gas station, there'll be a sign on the pump that says may contain up to 10% ethanol, okay? Now, there's been times where companies have put more or less ethanol based on the weather, the season, the heat outside, things like that. Additionally, like I've been talking about for months, there was a time during World War II where the federal government gave oil and gas companies in America permission to add additional levels of ethanol to the fuel in order to reduce the effects of fuel rationing. I have been saying that this had been happening for months since we entered into Iran. This is why you have been running out of gas more quickly. This is why you are experiencing rough idle when you're sitting in the school parking lot waiting for your kids to get out and your car kind of shakes every once in a while. This is why when you turn on your engine, your gas needle drops more than ever. And this is why if you have a car that tells you how many miles you have to empty, it no longer makes any sense, okay? It is up and down all over the place. It is because you are experiencing reduced fuel efficiency, okay? Now, as of yesterday, Congress authorized oil and gas companies into America to begin adding E15 to fuel, meaning now we are going to experience up to 15% ethanol. So for those of you who don't know what that means, let me explain how it is actually going to affect you. The idea is you are going to pay a little bit less at the pump, hopefully, okay, if the problem doesn't continue to get worse. Now, you pay a little bit less at the pump, but the side effect of that is you run out of gas faster, meaning you have to put more gas. The last 3-4 months, we've been getting gaslighted into believing that that is not what was happening, but it has been. Everyone has pretty much universally agreed you don't smell gas at the pump anymore. You run out of gas more quickly. Your car is not driving as far as it used to, or now it costs more to fill up and you got to fill up more often. Okay, it is because they have already been doing this. They are now just realizing they can't keep playing in our face and act like we aren't going to notice it. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Well, really, there's nothing you can do. If you drive an old car, sorry, you're screwed, okay? It is going to drastically reduce the engine life that you have, even if you drive a modern era vehicle. It is going to be very bad for people who drive older cars. Now, if you happen to drive what society would label a beater, you know who you are. Your car is going to start to fall apart very quickly, okay? So you may want to, I don't know, maybe stockpile gas now, if that's an option, or start to develop plans on how you can buy a vehicle that is a little bit newer with a little bit less wear and tear on the engine, because this gas is going to start tearing cars apart. Let's be clear. All right, so please, as always, share the video, tell your friends, prepare yourself, protect yourself, and don't tell nobody about it.
So now you have to be extremely careful when you go to the gas station to fill up your tank. Allegedly, gas stations all over the US and even Canada, their owners aren't quite being truthful about how much ethanol is really in the fuel. Now, in Canada specifically, there's been several incidents where car owners go to fill up their tank and they end up getting a 50-50 mixture, which has caused all these vehicles, their engines, to completely fail. Keep in mind, this is coinciding with the fact that they want us to eventually have to get rid and be forced to get rid of our older vehicles so that we have to get in the new models that have the driver surveillance system. Allegedly, now I don't know how true this is, but allegedly there was an executive order that was signed to where, I guess in the fine print, it allows gas station owners to not have to post or to make you aware of exactly how much ethanol is in their fuel. And if you know anything about ethanol, it causes hardened seals, corrosion to rubber and plastic parts, clogged fuel lines, and of course engine failure. So just be careful when you go to the gas station. Make sure that you know exactly what you're getting.
The gas you fill your car up with is about to change.
Starting in May, gas stations across the country are going to be allowed to sell you E15 gas. For those of you who have no idea what that means, essentially the gas is getting watered down. Right now, regular pump gas like 87, 89, and 91 contain about 10% ethanol. But now it's going to get bumped up to 15%.
And this is where it starts to get interesting.
Ethanol has less energy than regular gas, which means you'll see less miles per gallon when you fill up your car. Some people say it's totally fine for modern cars, but others claim over time it can be harder on your fuel system, injectors, and overall engine health. So if gas prices remain the same, which frankly they probably will, you're pretty much going to be paying for a lesser product.
Okay, pilot, explain this. How the fuck is this shit now 15% ethanol? And you have to use it in 2001 or newer vehicles. My first car wasn't that, so I couldn't use it in that, which means I'd have to use this, which is $4.01. Because that's the one that has 10% now. So not only is our gas more fucking diluted, it's more expensive. Fuck you.
So if people don't understand what this means that they're going to put 15% ethanol, which is corn. It's made out of corn. It's basically ethyl alcohol that, like I said, it's got a corn base. Well, what it does to your engines is it turns to a blue, like a sugary gum. So like I've always ran 100% gas through my small engines and stuff. But what it does to your vehicles, like your trucks, cars, like the flex fuel ones, they're fine to use it because they, it burns a lot of it off of them. But if it's just my truck's not a flex fuel, they made a flex fuel version, but I didn't get it. Well, this now means that I'm going to have to use fuel additives and all kinds of shit because it'll gum up my injectors. It'll gum up everything in the fuel injection. So this is a fucking terrible shit. This is terrible, man. Instead of getting all the fucking oil refined out of Venezuela that we just took over, instead of, everywhere else that we get our oil, like we have refineries here, we have oil here. Why the fuck are we adding more corn to it so our engines blow? Like there's going to be a shit ton more vehicles this summer because as that shit, the corn in it, the ethanol in it evaporates quicker. So all that shit settles. That's what the blue, like if you ever filled up your tank and you see like blue little particles floating up in your gas tank, or if you fill up your jugs for your outdoor equipment and stuff like your mowers and weed eaters, especially run 100% gas through weed eaters if you have access to it. Because if you don't, you'll have to use additives. But this is fucking terrible, man. This is scary as shit. But like I said, it's going to gum up everybody's carburetors, especially in older cars. The fuel injection system, your fuel injectors aren't going to, they're not going to seat right whenever it burns off when it goes in there for the combustion. I mean, it's going to be terrible. Like people's cars are going to be sitting on the side of the road because, like I said, it'll evaporate. So if you've got any in your fuel lines or your fuel system during the summer and it's hot, then it's just going to sit there and gum them up, and just like the gas will still be there, but it's going to gum up all the little holes, like for your injector. It's going to gum that up because it'll evaporate through there. I mean, it's crazy. And like I said, once it gets hot, it doesn't evaporate. What it does is it turns into this blue gummy stuff. So if you've ever taken a carburetor apart that's ran the ethanol, the E85 or whatever, or not E85, the 93 with 10% ethanol in it, and you see the blue gunk in your carburetor, holy shit, what the fuck has this world come to?
Something is off about this ethanol situation, and millions are starting to notice it. They're starting to see it at almost every gas station that they go to. And people are suspecting, which they do have a point, that this new change, they're not liking it. And the reason why they're not liking it is because at some gas station pumps, it's stating that it goes for 2001 cars or newer. But not everybody has a 2001 and newer car. So people are nervous because of this. And then it's stating that it's really not good for your car. It's going to eventually ruin your car. You're going to run out of gas faster. And they're doing this to make it seem like you're getting your gas cheaper. But in reality, it seems like they're taking advantage on the back end. That's what people believe. So people have a right to believe what they want to believe, but it's just getting scary. It's one thing after another. And it's just showing up at almost every gas station. Something is off. And then it's like they're saying E15 is being added, but who knows how much is being added, because they're not going to tell you the full story. Because they know if people get the full story, they're going to lose their minds even more. And they have a right to lose their minds. Because what's going on with all these changes? Why are all these changes just added all of a sudden out of nowhere? That's why something is going on. Something is off. They keep telling us one thing, and then they tell us another, thinking that we're going to fall for it. But in reality, people are starting to wake up. And I'm tired of all the lies and excuses that this economy is telling the people. And then gas is too high anyway, because people can't even afford to go to work no more. We already can't afford to go to work. And then you add something on to the gas, E15, and it possibly could tear up your car. They make a lot of things that can ruin your life and your vehicles slowly but surely. And you're not even noticing it. And then all of a sudden, something can possibly happen to your car. It break down, and then they're going to force you into a new car. It was all part of the plan. That's why something ain't adding up. First, it was these junkyard fires. They adding ethanol, more ethanol to the gas stations to make it seem like it's cheaper. And then all of a sudden, they're trying to force you into a new car. But you know what's the sad part? Even though they're trying to force you into a new car, people still can't afford a new car. So what they're going to do now? And that's the sad part. In this situation around America, it's just getting worse. And more people are becoming furious because of this. And they have every right to. Because this just don't make no sense. Everything is just collapsing, and they're doing something each and every way to affect you even more in the worst way possible. And that's my take on the situation. Let me know how y'all feel about this ethanol situation. Do y'all think this for a good cause or a bad cause? I really think it's for a bad cause. That's just what I believe. Leave y'all thoughts in the comments. And I'm going to see y'all in a minute. Peace.